Hello and welcome. Today we are going to look at how to add decimals. So let's just get started. When using the standard algorithm to add decimals, you're going to do the exact same thing that you would normally do when adding any other number. The only difference is that you need to make sure that your decimals here are lined up right above each other. That's the most important part. This ensures that your place values are lined up as well. Your tens are lined up, your ones are lined up, your tenths are lined up, and your hundredths are lined up in this case. So now let's get started and see what we do. When I add these, I have 6 plus 3 on the right hand side, and that gives me 9. Now in my 10th section, I have 3 plus 9, giving me 12. I'm going to now carry the 1 over top of this 8, because it is now, I have 10 tenths giving me 1 whole. So that 1 is going to be carried above the 8. So I have 1 plus 8 is now 9, and then 6 plus 7 is 13. The final thing that I need to do is place my decimal below my other decimal places. It fits right here, right below these two. And now my final answer is 139.29. For this example, I'm going to follow the exact same procedure. The very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to double check that my decimals are lined up perfectly. After I see that they are, I'm actually going to place my decimal here so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Then I'm going to start at my furthest right place value, which is the hundredths here. So when I take a look, I have 3 plus 4 gives me 7. 5 plus 5 is 10, and since I can't hold two digits in one place value, I'm going to leave my 0 here and carry my 1 over to here. When I look at my ones column here, I now can see that I have 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 7 is 13. I keep my 3 here, and I carry my 1 over on top of the tens. Now I have 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 9 is 18. Now I can take a look at my final answer. It is 183.07. I'll quickly run through one more example here. First thing I'm going to do is check that my decimals are lined up, which they are, which is great. So I'm going to place my decimal point below. Next, I'm going to move to my hundredths column. When I look at the hundredths, I have 3 plus 9 gives me 12. I put my 2 here, carry my 1. Now I have 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 4 gives me 12 again. So I'm going to place my 2 here and carry my 1. Now I have 7 plus 1 is 8, plus 6 is 14. So I put my 4 here, carry my 1. 4 plus 1 is 5, and now I have 5 plus 9 is 14 again. So I'm going to put 14 here. Now you can see that my answer is 144.22. Here's another example of an addition question with decimals, except it looks a little different. So if you can do the mental math, great. But if you're not someone who likes to go through the mental math and you do like to write it down, there is a way that you can do that. What you do is when you write it down on top of each other, but you have to make sure that those decimals are lined up. So let's do that right now. My first number is 1.08. My next number is 1.67. So when I write 1.67, I want to make sure that my decimal goes right here. So 1.67. Going to add these. The very first thing I do is I know that my decimals are lined up, so I'm going to place my decimal here. Now I have 8 plus 7, which is 15. I then carry my 1. 1 plus 6 is 7, and 1 plus 1 here is 2. So my final answer is 2.75. In this example, I'm going to add 0.195 plus 1.06. Now again, I'm going to stack these on top of each other just to make it easier. The first thing that I'm going to do when I write them is just to make sure that my decimals are lined up perfectly. As you can see, in 0.195, I have 3 digits in my decimal places, and in 1.06, I only have 2, so I have to be careful to line these up properly. So let's get started. The first thing I do is write my 0.195 down. And now I'm going to add my 1.06, but to do that, I'm going to place my decimal place first so I line everything up properly. I put my 1.06. Now, as you can see, below the 5 here, I actually don't have any digits, but I can very easily just place a 0 in here to make everything easier. Very quickly now I'm going to double check that my decimals are lined up perfectly, which they are, and I'm going to place my decimal below here so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Now I'm just going to add through all my numbers starting at the very right hand side. When I take a look on my thousandths, I have 5 plus 0 gives me 5. I have 9 plus 6 in my tenths, which gives me 15. I'm going to carry my 1 up here. I have 1 plus 1 gives me 2. Now I have 0 plus 1 gives me 1. So the final answer is 1.255. And that's everything for adding decimals. Now I think you have a pretty good idea of what you're doing, so go get them.